This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning and welcome to the show. This is Rowena Patton, All-Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP. Today we are going to do a deep dive into dumpsters. We've got Patrick McCall here from allindumpsterrentals.com. Good morning, Patrick.
Oh, good morning, Rowena. Thank you for having me today.
It's so great to have you here. We're going to learn everything we need to know about dumpsters.
Well, I think so. I'm glad to be able to share.
And this all came about because I used Patrick's company about a week ago, and I was so impressed. I went online to schedule it. Patrick called me right away, and then I called him back or texted him back to say, hey, any chance you could take it away right away because it was already full? He's like, no problem, we'll get it on Monday. And just the service was incredible. And you have those bright green dumpsters. I love it.
Yes, we customer service is our number one priority. And so when customers call me, they call our number, they get me directly. The color goes back to a sports team I used to coach, and we love that lime green.
Which one?
So I coached a youth softball team for my daughter for quite a few years, and that was the color they chose when they were 10 years old.
How cool.
So,
that's very cool. I didn't hear that bit before. So, I don't know, it was just all new and shiny and nice. And everybody says that customer service is very important. However, you actually demonstrated it, which is why you're sitting here and we're doing a deep dive into dumpsters today. And your clients and our clients have compiled a list of questions about dumpsters, some silly, some serious. Hit us up with some of those questions, Patrick.
Yeah, so these were very interesting, and some of which I had to take a deep dive myself to come up with some of the experiences I've had, and I've done this for a couple of years now, and so I've learned a lot, and I've seen a lot, and had a lot of a good opportunity to share with people, get to know about their lives, sometimes a little too much at times. But, these questions are interesting. The first one that caught my eye, do you ever have dumpster diving enthusiasts come around and try to take things out of the dumpster? The first thing I would say is me. I see things too often in the dumpsters that I want or see a potential value in if I had the time, which I don't have.
Are you a hoarder, Patrick?
Probably secretly somewhere. But one thing this job has done is probably taught me not to be, because we've certainly helped a lot of people out in situations where they're cleaning out a property from someone who was hoarding. But
oh, wow, really?
Yeah, we do. And this stuff, the items that get thrown away oftentimes are newer, are nice, or good. But it's a family situation typically where they just they can't keep it. They got to get rid of it. It's got to go. And we've had situations where we had dumpsters at people's houses. They've sent me pictures of people they don't know going through the dumpster.
Oh gosh!
And taking items out. And at times it can be a little dangerous. Obviously, if you're climbing around the top of a dumpster, you don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
And that type thing. And once we do load the dumpster, once we take it away, then we're very careful to keep people from getting into it. But I myself and my wife and my dad at times have found some things in there that we just couldn't live without, and unfortunately, a couple of them ended up back in a dumpster to be taken away.
And if you have any questions for Patrick today, you can call us at 828-240-9962. That's 828-240-9962. This is Rowena Patton, All-Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP, here today with Patrick McCall of allindumpsterrentals.com, talking about the questions that you've sent in to us about dumpsters. Thank you to everybody who took time to send those in. Give us another one, Patrick.
So this question was interesting. Do you ever feel like a superhero when you empty a really full dumpster and make room for more trash? So I can't say that I necessarily feel like a superhero, but on a little bit of a serious note, I do at times meet people on their worst day when they're having to clean out a property for a loved one who's passed or is no longer able to live there, and making the phone call, trying to find someone in town. Maybe they're from out of town, someone that can bring a dumpster quickly. They weren't necessarily expecting it. They couldn't plan.
Yes.
And being able to deliver quickly on that request gives a little peace of mind and certainly takes one stress away from a family that may be under stress. And then there's occasions when the wife or husband has convinced the other to finally empty out that garage.
Oh, no.
And you see a bright face on one spouse and a really sad face on the other spouse. So I guess to someone I was a superhero and to someone else I was a villain.
Yikes. Oh, my gosh. So we'll take a quick break and look at a listing here that is coming soon. 6 Brookshire Street Extension. This is a great little brick rancher. 3 bedrooms, 375.22 acres. It's in the more affordable range at 375. So you can find that at mountainhomehunt.com. Mountainhomehunt.com. Just look at 6 Brookshire. 6 Brookshire. BROOKSHIRE. Just put that in at mountainhomehunt.com. It will pop up for you. Click on the heart. Tell us you want to set up a showing when it's available to see. It's coming soon, which means it's available in about 10 days or sooner. This one has a big workshop, which is very unusual. It's Asheville, right? So to find something with a big workshop in Asheville, the gentleman that was there, it was an estate. He passed about a year ago. And in his 50s, he decided to take up wood carving and had a big shop at the back for wood carving. So that was pretty cool. So there's one on there. Give us another question, Patrick.
So what's the strangest smell you've ever encountered while emptying a dumpster?
Ooh.
Yeah. So there is a lot of ooze when there's food, trash, things like that that have sat around for a while. But my strangest story comes from a company that we picked up, a liquid that's used for people to drink for scans, that type thing.
Like bariatric fluid or something?
Some barium, I think, is what it was, something. And so the company manufactures it. It's very safe. It's inert. But they had to throw a batch away, so we had a couple of dumpsters full of that. And, I didn't know much about it. We took it and emptied it at the dump. And sometimes when you dump, a large amount comes out at once, and then we have to back over the item to get everything else out of the thing. And what I didn't realize is the truck was spinning and putting this all over the truck.
Oh.
Well, what I found out...
What did it smell like?
It smelled like McDonald's vanilla milkshakes.
Oh.
But the smell was
so
strong. It hit me when I got out of the truck. Now, we've smelled some pretty rough stuff. It's a little difficult. But I got out of the truck, and it just about knocked me down. And it got all over the truck.
Oh, no.
And so I was driving around smelling the smell for about an hour, and I stopped my day to wash the truck because it was so bad. And really, honestly, I can't stand the smell of vanilla right now because it was so strong.
So you haven't had any vanilla milkshakes since?
No more vanilla milkshakes for sure.
It was probably the vanilla taste they put in to make it more palatable, I would guess.
Exactly right. That's exactly that was. And when I looked on one of the bottles, it said vanilla flavoring. So
it was the concentrate.
Yes, it was the it hadn't even been mixed into the solution yet. So.
Ooh, I wonder what was wrong with it. I guess it just gone by its sell-by date or something.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a by-date situation. It hadn't shipped out, and so they have to dispose of it.
Ugh. Any other funny smells you've had in there?
Well, there's some, there's some stuff that goes to the dump. You don't realize MSD sends their byproducts there. So everything in Asheville that's filtered out ends up there. So that's not a smell you want to deal with. So we try and structure our time up there around that when we know those trucks are going to be there. You do get used to some of it, because you're in and out of it relatively often. Most of my dumpsters are construction house clean out style, so we don't, necessarily carry a lot of rad stuff. But It is there when we're at the various dumps around Western North Carolina.
Okay. So how much does it cost to get a dumpster these days? Small, you do like a small, medium, and large, basically?
I do. Really small to medium. So in Western North Carolina, we've got, as most people know, mountainous terrain. A lot of driveways are small, thin, difficult to get into. So you make a choice as a company. Are you gonna focus on a smaller market or a smaller sized dumpster market, or are you going to focus on the larger stuff? And there are plenty of companies that have the very large dumpsters, the 30s, 40s. Where I found a space was 10-yard, 15-yard dumpster size and 13-yard. To give people an option, but also give us the flexibility to get in and out of smaller places.
When I ordered the medium one, it was plenty big enough, and it was bigger than I was expecting. It took up 2/3 of my driveway, so
yes,
it was definitely big.
Yes, and gives you a lot of room. And the style of dumpsters can be different, the way they're built, which we try and educate people on what that means, what it's going to look like, the space it's going to use.
One thing I really liked is that I could go online to allindumpsterrentals.com and book online. That made it very, very easy. I Googled, like you always do, and I could just look for the day I wanted, book it and pay it right there. And then you called me.
Yes.
So it's sort of both, it was that online experience, and it was the fact that you called me to just check that I'd got everything right on there, which is always appreciated. You don't want to turn up at the wrong place with a dumpster.
Correct. We offer, multiple ways for people to book and pay. Everybody has their own style, particularly in this day and time. We're dealing with multi-generational customers. Some people would rather talk with you on the phone. Others would like to deal exclusively online. But we always do a follow-up call to make sure we have the right information, because trusting technology completely can either cause a problem for the customer or for us, and we don't want that. We don't want any inconvenience. Isn't
that the truth? And I've had issues before with dumpsters turning up on time, or the contractors can't get their trucks in, or the contractor's like, where's the dumpster? And you were absolutely on time, which was great, and then you took it away early instead of leaving it for the 7 days. So usually they're left for 7 days, correct? You're paying for 7 days?
Correct. That's my terms. Different dumpster companies have some different pricing and different terms. That's what we chose to do. It seems to be the most convenient for our customers, gives them the right amount of time to utilize it. Now, we do have customers like yourself who call us, say, look, we're done in 4 days. Can you come get it out of our way? And we always try and accommodate that, because particularly on a construction site, there's a lot going on, and there's several steps to the process, as you know. And so your installers don't want to have trash around.
Yeah.
Whereas your guys who are doing demolition, they need that dumpster, they need it right now.
Yeah. And I had all the stuff in the garage. They'd just been piling it up in the garage. So the minute yours arrived, all it went in. So out and cleaned the garage out, which was fantastic. Now there was some actual space in there for the appliances and everything else that were waiting to go in. So we do have that house for sale. We should talk about that one too. 30 Park Avenue. That is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and it is $599,900. It is in Arden, and what more can I tell you about it? It's fully remodeled. Everything is new. New countertops, new cabinets, new flooring, new bathrooms. The basement's been finished out, so it's giving it all that extra square footage down there. It's 3,196 square feet, which is a lot. Quite a big house, and it has views.
Might I say, it's a beautiful home in a very nice location. When I went to deliver the dumpster, that's something that came to mind. It's kind of halfway between Asheville and Hendersonville.
Yeah.
So.
And it really is a beautiful neighborhood, and it's halfway up the hill, so you get views off there, which is really nice. It's called Park Avenue, the neighborhood, and the first time I drove in there, I'm like, wow, this is really nice. Got a little clubhouse and a swimming pool and a court, and it was actually my personal home, and it just didn't work out because of school issues. Big open plan living space. Yeah, it's been a really fun project, and thank you for helping out with that. If you want to look at that one, go to mountainhomehunt.com, and just type in 30 Park. Patrick, have you got any more questions for us? I know they sent in a whole list. There were more than 20 questions that people sent in.
Yes, we do, and I do have more questions, and some of them I enjoyed reading.
Made you giggle?
Yeah, they did, and some of these questions were in depth, and they did a good job, thinking through their questions. And a lot of the questions we do get from customers are educational in nature, meaning they're asking me, I don't know. They're telling me we don't understand necessarily the size, the volume, what that means in relationship to the stuff I have. Oftentimes we get a call from a homeowner, and one spouse has put the other up to calling, and
usually, right?
Yeah, usually that's the case, and so we try and do a good job educating a little bit about what you're getting and what it's going to look like when we deliver. The question here that I thought was interesting was, have we ever had a customer who wanted to paint the dumpster, and not necessarily paint the outside, other than in Asheville we do have an increasing issue with graffiti on certain items, some of which looks very nice but would not look nice on my dumpster. So let me clarify that to anyone listening. I would not want it on my dumpster, but the insides of the dumpsters oftentimes get paint in them from homeowners or from individuals. And although we always want to help someone out and help them get rid of any items they can't use, liquid paint is not something we want to get rid of, because that is classified as hazardous material.
Got it.
And so when we drive down the road, if we have liquids in the back of the dumpster, that tends to come out the back. And if you're driving a really nice car, or even a not so nice car, if you're driving behind one of my trucks, you were to get paint on it, you would be pretty upset. And so we try and be very clear that liquid items and paint are not allowed in the dumpster.
And you're open Monday to Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So tell us the prices if you have them in top of your head
absolutely.
On the three.
So we try and make the prices easy to understand. So my 10-yard dumpster, which is my smaller size, is $250 in Buncombe County and Henderson County. You get 7 days, and we include 1 ton of material in that price. So that you don't have to think about it too much. It's pretty easy.
We don't have scales
understand.
at home, though. How do we know what 1 ton is?
So the smaller the dumpster, the less you can typically get in it, right?
Yeah.
And any dumpster, the items that compact well, that are more dense, tend to weigh more. So construction items tend to weigh more. Things like shingles and wood products, sheetrock, stuff like that. Things that don't weigh a lot necessarily are clothes, mattresses if they stay dry, furniture. Typically bulkier items you're not able to pack as much into the dumpster.
That's a good tip, actually. What about putting a tarp over the dumpster?
So
to
you
stop the water
can,
getting in and making it heavier.
We have had customers do that particularly have a lot of fabric items in there, because that does absorb and hold water.
Or sheetrock or anything. I mean, the water could just run in there, and the weight of water itself. What happens if it's too heavy? That would be scary.
So for us, we have a pretty wide range of weight that we can take. So that 2,000 pounds is not our maximum amount we can take safely. Now, there are some items that get very heavy very fast, and so we're very careful with that. So shingles, for example, can be extremely heavy. They're very dense, they're very tightly packed, and a full dumpster load of shingles can be 12 tons or more.
Wow.
And so we're very careful with that. Concrete is extremely heavy. Dirt is very heavy. So we're very
put dirt
cautious.
in dumpsters?
Yeah, they will. If you go to a construction site, one of the last things to be done is landscape, and sometimes there's a lot of dirt to be removed. And if they use your dumpster for that, that can be almost unmovable. And
wow.
So yeah, we have to be very cautious with that type of thing.
Beware, no dirt.
Yeah,
or just a little
dirt.
bit of dirt.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that's okay. A little bit is okay. It's when we get the Traco in there that to fill up our dumpster.
And how much is your medium and large? So we've got $250 on your little bitty 20 and a 30.
So the 10 yard is $250. The 13 yard is $270. Again, same thing, 7 days, 2,000 pounds included. And our largest dumpster, which is the 15 yard, that's $295, 7 days, and 2,000 pounds included. And those rates are good for Buncombe or Henderson County.
And that's a big dump. Did I have the big one or the medium one?
You had the medium one.
Okay. Yeah, and it really was a good size, so $270 for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That was good. Any other interesting questions you got in there? We've got a lot to get through today.
Yes. So one question had to do with how well people, and any people that had packed a dumpster very, very well, like a Jenga, for example. And we actually do. It's interesting. I kind of, with my wife, we joke about some of the dumpsters we see that are so well compacted. And there was an engineer in Asheville that had rented a dumpster from us. He was tearing down a porch, and he put those items in so tight, so well, you couldn't see the sides, and he brought it right to the top. And I took a photo of it at the time because it was so well done. I mean, he just did a great job with it. And so
you remember
he really
his name? Should we give him a shout out?
I don't recall his name. I know where he lives, but I don't want to give his address out necessarily. But he did a fantastic job.
Wow. 828-240-9962. If you have any questions for Patrick on dumpsters today, you can go and book one at allindumpsterrentals.com. And he does small, medium, and large dumpsters. I can't imagine anybody at home wanting bigger than a large one. That would have taken up my entire driveway. And I was reconstructing an entire house, so...
Yeah, and construction dumpsters typically, for a remodel are there a shorter amount of time. There's not as much necessarily to take out. New builds, that's when the contractor may want a larger dumpster because it's going to be there a longer period of time. He's waiting on contractors to come and go. And so that, from a construction perspective, that's where the larger dumpster tends to play. In house cleanouts, a larger dumpster works well if you've got, like you mentioned earlier, a hoarder situation, or a situation where investors just bought a house and he or she wants everything gone. It doesn't matter. It's going.
Do you help with that? Do you have people that go in and pull it out, or do you just literally drop the dumpster? Or do you have any services where you'll help with that?
So we do partner with a local junk removal specialist, and he does a fantastic job. So if I get that request, I bring him in. He comes in and does the pricing. He does a great job bringing his crew in and getting those items out. He's also very fast, which is something that investors and anyone appreciates if they have a cleanup job.
Yeah. And it's very hard. I list a lot of houses that are estate homes. Actually, the one that's coming soon is in that situation. And often, it's very hard for them to let things go. In fact, that was the situation in that house. They were still grieving their father and really wondering what to let go and what not to let go. He had a lot of equipment in there because he'd taken up woodworking later in time. And it took a year to get to the point where they could get things out. And there's still a bunch of furniture and carpet to take up and all that good stuff to get down to the hardwoods in there. There are hardwoods in that house under the carpet, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, we run into situations like that. I get maybe I get a phone call from a child of a parent who needs to have their house cleaned out for whatever reason, and they've just gotten to this space, the time where this person is okay with it or sort of okay with it. And when we come, we try and walk softly because we know that can be a very tense situation.
Yes.
We've had them. People on the porch staring at us while we drop the dumpster, trying to go through the dumpster when we pick it up to pull those last little items out. And we try to be compassionate on those situations.
Well, it's kind of classic hoarder, isn't it?
It is. It's very much
holding
so.
on to those things.
It is, and it's it is truly a psychological issue that has to be addressed by the family or friends. And I think being kind is the most important part for me and maybe the junk removal specialist, because this person really has an emotional connection.
Yeah. I think even when you've been in a home for 20 or 30 years, the vast majority of us are hoarders, right? So we have 2 colanders, we have 2 kettles, we have 16 saucepans. Sometimes it's blended families, and you've got the two families stuffed together because somebody doesn't want to throw away that cutlery or crockery or whatever it is. And just over time and over years, you gather all of that stuff. And for the people that have a lot of storage, oh my gosh, it's even worse.
Yes, it's multiple items being thrown away, sometimes still in the packages. We see that from time to time. Collectibles that someone thought would be worth something one day, and maybe they weren't, or maybe they were worth something to that individual. They get thrown away. I think this is something this is kind of brought to mind for me, is that when it's that time for my kids, I need to make sure it's easy for them.
Yes.
It's not as difficult.
Well, a lot of people say that, actually, that I don't want to leave all this mess for my kids. And a lot of people are in these 4, 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom homes, whatever, and their kids have gone away. It's 20 years later. They've been off in school. They've set up their own family somewhere else. They're not coming back for the holidays. And eventually they go, it's time to sell this house because we don't need it for the family holidays anymore. And we can just have family holidays together or at their houses. And at that point, they realize so much needs clearing out. And let's face it, most of us aren't minimalists.
That's exactly right. And sometimes these homes have been used by multiple generations, and it's not been cleaned out in many, many years. And so by the time they get to that place in the family that the home must be cleaned, you're seeing some old items, very old stuff coming out. And sometimes very interesting. Sometimes it's almost a time capsule to see the items in there. And
I see that frequently because of listing houses.
Mm-hmm.
When I mentioned the storage rooms before, or the basements, it's like, let's put it down in the basement because we'll need it again one day. And then, of course, when you need it, you can't find it, and you don't even remember that you've put it away. Didn't I put that thing away in 1976 because I thought I'd need it again? And, now the grandchild needs blah, 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 or all of the kids' school stuff. Oh, my gosh. All of the medals, all of the trophies, all of the pictures, all of the school books. And the kid doesn't want it. The kid's now 47 and living in San Francisco with their family.
Yes. And, so many, I always chuckle and I tease my family. When you go to Dollywood or to Disney World or wherever, and you get those family picture packs that you spent so much money on, it's going to end up in my dumpster at some point. It always does. And, some oftentimes unopened. They were never even opened and spread out. And so,
that's so sad.
It is. And I think, and a lot of times in my heart, I see things that I think, wow, I would really want to keep for my family. Why doesn't anybody want it? But you just have to realize as time goes on and families spread out and generations get more disconnected, nobody wants this.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of sad. Yeah. What else have you been asked, Patrick?
So when I get this question quite a bit is, what's the most embarrassing things that we see people throw away? And the first thing I caution people is just because you put it in the dumpster doesn't mean it'll never be seen again. And so remember that, and remember the value of black trash bags. You can always put it in that, and no one will see it. But we've seen photographs, obviously, that you probably wouldn't necessarily want to share with the public. We see personal items sometimes, papers, things that may have personal information on it, and that's a cautionary tale because although we pick it up, we tarp it, we take it to the dump, when it's dropped there are a lot of people roaming around, not necessarily picking through items, but dropping their stuff. You never know who's there. You never know, that piece of paper, that form or tax return. So, there are services you can utilize for, grinding papers and getting stuff that's personal to you or important financial information to get that taken care of outside of just throwing it in a dumpster.
Yeah, that is a good cautionary tale. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Do you ever see any strange old foods in there where maybe some people have been prepping and had those foods for 20 years? Anything like that?
So you see in the South, I think this is kind of common in Western North Carolina. You see where people did a lot of canning, maybe in the in the 40s, 50s, 60s,
still
and on up.
Still going on
today.
now. I see it all the time.
And they had those items protected in they called it a canning house, and there was a reason they had that, and they were keeping it for a rainy day or just to feed their large families, particularly on farms, things like that. And so we see those get thrown away, and you can tell they are very old. Oof. You wouldn't want to eat it, but it's interesting to see that someone put that effort and time in it.
That might be a trivia question in Western North Carolina, actually. So how long does a canned item last? And hopefully you're putting dates on them, so you know when they were canned, but how long do they last? Give us a call, 240-9962. We'd like to know how long a particular type of canning item lasts, and when do you need to put it in the dumpster?
Yes. I would not venture to guess, but I've seen some stuff that I would definitely not want to eat.
Like 50 years old.
Or longer.
Wow.
Yeah, we've seen stuff where the tops were rusted, where obviously the jar, I think the coloring on the jar tells you something about the age, and I've seen stuff that is definitely very old.
Ooh. My mind's ticking away here. What could you do with that? How interesting. I wonder what it smells like.
Well, I have smelled it, and depending on what it was canned with, the odor is not always very good. A lot of vinegar's used, so you smell that, but other stuff, not very good.
Which does protect the food for a very long time. When I was a kid, Tutankhamun exhibit, the Egyptian exhibit, came to London, and I went to see it, and I was young, 7 or 8, and I got fascinated with mummification because it kept those mummies preserved for a very, very long time. And I started I don't know how I researched it because we didn't have the internet then. But I used some HB sauce and some vinegar and all kinds of stuff. And I found a little baby dead bird, and I mummified it in a can in my backyard. And I'd dig it up once in a while to see whether it worked or not.
Oh, my goodness.
And did it?
Yeah, not really.
Okay. Call the dumpster man.
Yes, really. I don't think I had the right recipe, honestly.
Recipe.
I mean, it was HP brown sauce. That seemed to have a lot of the spices in that they were using.
Okay.
To mummify but they were also going down into very dry caves as well, and I buried it in some dirt at the bottom of the garden in England where it's very moist, so that probably had something to do with it too. But I think I preserved the bird for a little bit longer than he would have been preserved.
Yeah, I've even heard of honey that was pulled from the pyramids that was still good and could have been eaten today.
Yes.
It was, very, very old, thousands of years old.
Sugar too. What a preservative. Mm-hmm. Taking a little turn, we have another house here for you. This is a great little home that could be Airbnb'd. It looks out over a pond. Very cute bungalow. $439. It's on 1.3 acres, and it's only 10 minutes from downtown. Not even 10 minutes from downtown. mountainhomehunt.com. Put in 1184 Charlotte, and it will pop right up for you. That's in Fairview. It's on Charlotte Highway, and it is priced below appraisal. So if you're looking for something that could be an Airbnb that looks over a pond, it's got beautiful stone walls around it. The home's been remodeled. A lot of room downstairs in the basement where you could add some space, but just a gorgeous setting. You've got ridgeline views and a pond less than 10 minutes from downtown Asheville, and it's on Fairview Highway, Charlotte Highway, excuse me. So we may as well, we all call it Fairview Highway, right? So it may as well be. But yeah, great little house there, mountainhomehunt.com, 1184 Charlotte. Put in and it will pop right up for you. Any more, Patrick? I know we had such a massive list of people.
Yeah, yes. Again, very thoughtful questions. And this one made me think, and because this one has to do with the most unusual item that's ever been thrown away. And it's also the worst item that was ever thrown away for me. We had a dumpster we picked up from someone's home. We were inspecting it once it got back to our yard. Sometimes we take them back to our yard, we drop them, as we're picking up another one and moving around various inventory.
And you have a little poke around in there, see if there's any
so we had to
goodies.
look, we had to peek and see what was in there, and there were multiple cages in there, and some plastic, some metal, and there were so many of them. We started looking and started digging around, and they had various names on there that I started recognizing as species of snakes.
Oh.
And as I looked at it, and I thought, I hope there's nothing alive in these cages. And the one that really kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies the most is it was a cage, and it had egg shells where snakes had hatched.
Oh.
And so that one quickly became a top of the list empty dumpster. So we took it to the dump. We opened the door as fast as possible, and I ran back in the cab of the truck because I was just terrified of what could be in there.
I wonder if that was a disgruntled spouse. I got all the cages and let them out with their other spouse. It's like true crime here.
I did well, and that was a situation that I have. My wife is worse than me, but I have a fear of snakes. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to see them, and so we got rid of that one quickly. And we do see things in dumpsters from time to time that make you wonder. What went on here. You see. A lot of broken glass. You see, things that, are thrown away that you go, what happened to make this, they've got a broken television, they've got a broken table, they've got glass in here. What occurred here that required all of this?
Wow. Oh, my gosh. We have Don on the line who has some information about canned items for us. Good morning, Don. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm fascinated to learn about some canned items and how long you can keep them for.
Well, I think the typical rule of thumb is like 1 to 2 years.
Oh, that's short.
I know. I canned I fermented some corn and salsa about 3 years ago, and it's still good. So as long as the canning top is rust-free and, you can probably keep it 5 to 10 years. Or longer, as long as it's it looks good and there's no rust on the lids and all.
Can I say something rude, Don?
Yes.
You sound like any man that I've ever asked about some item in the fridge. And that cheese may have been there for 3 years and it has no mold on it. And that gentleman, any gentleman will say, it doesn't smell bad, I'm sure it's fine.
Right. No, understood.
Does that sound true for you? Just asking.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So.
And honestly, if you're canning something, most often you would want to eat it within 2 years, I'm thinking.
Yes. I mean, ideally it would be within a year, but as long as you do the right canning process, it can be. I've eaten canned food that's. I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, a family of 12, and we canned all of our food, and it was typically gone in a year because of the volume of meals that my mom would make.
All the kids, yeah. Midnight snacks, and you go down and open a can.
Yes. So, fermented stuff, can sometimes last longer, but, ideally, like you said, 1 to 2 years and maybe a little bit longer for certain foods.
So how does the fermenting work?
You just use salt and vinegar.
Yeah. And it just depending on the item that you put in there, it ferments. Or do you need the sugar as well to have it ferment, like corn or something?
Yeah, just a little bit. You put just a small amount of sugar in it.
Like kraut.
Yes.
Kraut will last forever. Yeah.
Says Randy. See, here we go again. Says Randy. It'll last forever. 75 years later, he'll eat the kraut in the can. Oh my gosh.
Put it on
Don,
a Reuben.
thank you so much for that. Do you need any dumpsters anytime soon?
I don't think so. I think we're going to be stuck in our little farm in Marshall for as long as we live.
Well, that sounds lovely. Do you feel like you've got any items down in the basement or in your storage rooms or anything that you and your family go, we should probably clear that out one day, like the rest of us?
Yes, a few in the barn, not in the house.
There you go. Probably can't put a tractor in a dumpster would be my guess.
Yes.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for calling in, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Don.
Have a good day.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Have you ever cleaned out a barn? Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, we have. We have, again, family members sometimes come in from out of state or whatever, and they just need to clean the property to get it ready for sale. And sometimes a real estate agent is involved in this transaction. And we had a barn in Fairview that was being cleaned out. And this one in the upstairs part of the barn, which I would have thought of as a hayloft, there was a lot of large items being stored. And there were huge electrical motors that were just gigantic commercial electric motors. And I looked on one of the little, places on there where they put the serial number and whatnot. And the year mark on it was 1936.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting. Who knows why they had them? I don't really know. And so my encouragement to that family was to recycle that because there was a lot of copper in there. And there are times, just speaking of that, there are times we can help people, recycle some items and, either make money or obviously feel better about the fact that, the item's not just going in the landfill.
Yes. I always think about that. I remodel sometimes, and if you've got good cabinets that were built 10 years ago and just need a lick of paint and some new hardware on them, why put them in landfill? We talk about the Green Deal all the time, and yet we're filling up landfill at a rate of like we've never done before. We're going to run out of space, surely, at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much of what we use today is disposable plastics, disposable, containers. You remember when I was a kid, everything was Pyrex or glass, and if you stored your leftovers in the refrigerator, it was in Pyrex. It would have been rewashed and kept for later. Well, now it's plastic containers. Once you eat everything out, you just toss the container. And so we're blessed here in that we have a local privately owned facility that recycles all construction C&D.
Oh.
And so your dumpster, for example, went there.
Oh.
So those items are manually picked apart, the wood, the sheetrock, shingles, and separated. And then this facility then in turn recycles it. They sell it to different people around the country that use it.
Very appropriate conversation for Earth Day.
Absolutely. I didn't know it was Earth Day.
It is Earth Day.
Oh, I
very
didn't know
appropriate
that.
conversation.
Well, it just always fascinates me that we talk about recycling and what are the trucks fueled by to go about and pick up our recycling, and it's just one of the easiest things to do when you're remodeling a house. And let's face it, a lot of people do remodeling. Is look at what you've got and reuse it. Talking about disposable items, appliances. There were appliances in the house that I just remodeled that were from the 50s, and they were still working. There was a washer and dryer from the 50s that worked perfectly fine. Most of our washers and dryers don't go on for 70 years these days.
No.
So you're lucky if you get 10 years out of them. They're much more disposable. So do they go into landfills or do they get broken down?
No, those don't go into landfills. Those do get broken down and recycled to a degree, depending on the item, from my understanding. So the metal in there are, Biltmore Metal in Asheville is one of several different metal companies that will take those items, and they'll pay you a little bit for them.
So we shouldn't put our appliances in the dumpster?
No, we don't take them because I can't dump them in the general landfill and wouldn't want to either. But they have to be pulled out, and that's very difficult for a driver to try and pull that out.
Yeah, really. Who'd want to do that? So you have a whole list of what can go in there. Want to jump over and give another house for you to look at? I'm looking at the beautiful picture of the mountain range that this has views of. 3-car garage. It's in Clyde. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. Absolutely gorgeous home. Recently built in 2015. You can have a look at that one. Just have a look at it. It's worth looking for the pictures. It's such a beautiful mountain view. Mountainhomehunt.com. and type in 750 iron tree. 750 iron tree, it will pop up there for you. Give me another funny.
So this one has to do with value. Have we seen anything valuable thrown away in dumpsters? And yes, the answer is yes. We see things of value. Most of the time, we can't necessarily salvage it because by the time we see it, it's already in the landfill.
Yeah.
But I had one situation where it was an estate clean out. A young lady was responsible for it, and she was having to turn it around relatively quick. And I happened to peek in the dumpster and I saw a jewelry box. And if I do see something like that, I'm always going to open it just to see. And there was a gold ring, a gold necklace, and something else. And I showed my wife and I said, I think this has value. And she would know that more than me. And she immediately said yes. So we were able to get that back to her. And she was very appreciative of that. Although, the way the law works, it does become ours at that point. We don't want to take something of value that someone could use or need.
Right.
Or have sentimental value. That could have a very deep sentimental value to someone.
Yeah, there could be some granddaughter or somewhere, up north or in Texas or wherever that was always promised that ring and you took it out of the dumpster. You've no idea how happy you made somebody. Was the young lady doing it a member of the family? She was. She
wasn't a direct descendant, I don't believe. I believe she was a little bit removed, but she was the only one to do it. And she had hired some people to help her. And
she was helping out.
She was just trying to get it out.
Gosh.
Because oftentimes, there's a situation where, there's a mortgage payment due or a rent payment due. And the family may not have the means to continue paying for that.
Yes.
And so they're on a quick
They've got to sell it as quickly as they can. We actually have a program for selling estate properties where we can help with the clear out. We sometimes give a discount if one is a veteran, or we have a give back program where we have veterans, licensed healthcare, teachers, police, firefighters, and we give back 25% of our commission. We have a big program, and we're very used to working with estate sales because we do a lot of them. And it is a different process. It takes longer generally, like the one we just did took nearly a year, and now we're about ready to go, which is very exciting. It's on Coming Soon. You can see it on Coming Soon. And it's just a different process. You have to act in a very different way to, a young couple that wants to sell because they're moving out to San Francisco. But wait, that's not very likely. They're probably moving to South Carolina or something.
And a lot of times we get, real estate agents are involved in that deeply, in the actual clean out, in that process to help guide the family through it. So we get calls from real estate agents. They're kind of the lead, the point on that. And we try and, make sure that we can accommodate them and their schedules because, rarely is it, it's going to be a month away. It's usually this week.
Yes, of course. And one thing I liked about you guys, and I did find you by accident, honestly, because I was Googling, is that when you pull up all in dumpsterrentals.com, did I get it right? All in dumpsterrentals.com. You can click to text, you can click to call, or you can go book now. And the book now feature on there, you just put your address in, it verifies your address for you, and then it brings up a calendar. And you can just choose the date on there, which is very nice if you don't want to speak to some. It's like, I know people don't want to speak to real estate agents sometimes, so we tell them to go to mountainhomehunt.com, click on contact us. So, they put their name, details in, and we'll give them a call. Same thing for you. If you don't want to speak to some dumpster guy, although I've got to tell you, Patrick's pretty nice on the phone, you can go to book now at allindumpsterrentals.com and just see what dates they've got available. Yeah. How far out are you booked right now? I think I got next day when I did it.
It can be as quick as next day. It can be as far as a week and a half. And we try and keep enough inventory that in our busiest times we're no more than a week out.
Yeah.
And that can be, depending on the size, we could have it sooner or later, and we try to keep our calendar up to date so when you look at the calendar, it's accurate.
Yeah. So order that little one for $250. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Order that little one for $250 if you're thinking about selling, and just you've got 7 days. Keep piling stuff into it. If you're a hoarder, you might want the 275 version, which is that twice as big?
No, that's 13 yards, so that's 3 more cubic yards of space.
Okay.
The 15 yard is 5 more cubic yards of space.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
I just want like small, medium, and large, and is it twice as big or not? Right, Randy?
We try to use pickup loads as our reference point. How many pickup loads per dumpster size? So, for example, a 10 cubic yards equals about 4 pickup loads of material.
Like the back of a pickup truck?
Yes, that's
correct. I
correct.
didn't know what you meant by a pickup load.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very helpful.
Very.
Yeah.
But not if it's got dirt in it, because that's too heavy.
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh, my goodness.
I got a dumpster story for you.
You do?
Yeah, in my house, you go in, there's a small foyer, and there's a hall closet right there. But I found there's also a hall tree, a wooden hall tree, right across from that hall closet door that all my coats, hats, and gloves and all this stuff hangs on. I found it in the dumpster, and I'm proud of it, and I know that that's redundant. But I like my hall tree. It's right there.
Do you like it better than the whole closet?
Yeah, that closet's full of coolers and junk like that.
It's so funny. So the house I remodeled, I took that closet out because it felt like this tiny little cramped area where you walked in. It was a foyer, basically, but with a closet built into it.
Same here.
And it felt so cramped, so I took it out. Now it feels spacious, and you could put a hall tree or hooks on the wall and a nice bench and, just to modernize it.
If you find a hall tree in a dumpster, use it. I'm proud of it. I'm like a dog who went to the dump and found a steak,
I'll keep on the lookout for you for a second one.
Were you just walking by a dumpster? Or?
When I had that trophy store in Fletcher, they had a dumpster for the community, and I took some trash out there one day. I said, wait a minute, I like that.
You gave it a good wash down?
Yeah, nah, it didn't look dirty. It's been 15 years ago.
Oh, my gosh, that's awesome. Free hall tree.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably made better as well than the stuff that you buy at some of the big box stores now, I would guess. Do we have time for one more? You've got like 3 more questions on there that were sent in.
Yes. The question came up, have we ever had to call the police for any reason? The only time we had to do that was at a storage facility. We dropped a dumpster off. We went to pick it up. And there was an individual who was very upset that there had been items thrown away, and his contention was they were some of his items. And so a rather large dispute broke out over what was in the dumpster, and he decided to try and lock us in till he could clarify this. And so he tied a telephone cord between the two poles of the entrance.
Oh my gosh!
So that's my story. The police had to get involved and cut the telephone cord so I could leave.
So you were kidnapped in a storage unit?
It was for a little while. My son was with me. It was the most bizarre situation in the world, but the police did a great job handling it and rectifying it.
That does sound very strange. Oh my gosh! Can you believe we're almost at the end of the show?
Wow!
We're like 10 seconds. I know it goes so fast. It's amazing. When we're having fun like this, that hour goes so fast. It's incredible. This is Rowena Patton at All Star Powerhouse, brokered by XP. If you're even thinking of selling, give us a call, 828-333-4483. You can go to mountainhomehunt.com, mountainhomehunt.com. Click on Contact Us. Give me your address. We'll get it that way too. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you for Patrick McCall. We'll see you on the radio next week.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.